the reason behind 12, according to my computer. So let's say 7:15, we can get started because I don't know, at least, give them a few more minutes to join us if they plan to. And we can get started then. I see a J sorted on there. And Fiji Shambare.
Okay, so that person reached out to me about the lack of recycling at Ebbets Field. I was going to save that for later in the meeting and discussion, but
Okay.
that name, he reached out to me. I emailed him back today. I was away on a conference, but he was interested in reporting on the lack of recycling in large buildings and in Ebbets Field also.
Hi, that
Okay.
is correct. Yeah, I was I'm looking to report on lack of recycling and just how this plays into kind of just the issues between tenants and like Mitchell-Lama housing, right? So if you guys have a few seconds to talk to me afterwards, that would be great. If not, I'd still love to meet with you, Christine, whenever you have a moment.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry I said he. Apologize for that.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
So what is your interest or tie, if we have a couple minutes, to recycling and that kind of situation, Fiji?
Hi, sorry. So I actually viewed the recording of your last meeting and I kind of just was interested in the, weight that this like discovery, right? I saw that a lot of you were very shocked about just the fact that there was no recycling in Ebbets Field. And I was just curious, like, if this is a trend in a lot of large buildings. I went to Ebbets Field. It seemed very like normal to a lot of the residents that I spoke to, that, these weren't things that were at the forefront of, I don't know, I guess their concerns with the building. And I'm just intrigued by the issue in general.
Do you reside in Abbotsfield?
I do not. I'm a journalism student. I live in Harlem. I just saw your meeting and was intrigued by the story and, what this means as far as, the relationship between tenants and buildings and, changing. I feel like a lot of the blame and when we talk about recycling, we always talk about individuals not doing enough. And I was wondering, what percentage of that is, the
Institutional effect, right?
exactly.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I can tell you
attend-
honestly. I'm sorry.
What school do you attend, PJ?
The new school.
Okay.
So yeah, and I can tell you honestly, I do live in Ebbets Field, and it is not at the forefront of tenants' issues with this building, but it is something that has honestly bothered me, just being concerned with the
Yeah.
environment that a building this large and this scale could get away with it in some respect.
Okay, so it's now, let's get started. It's now 7:16. So we're gonna get started. So let me just grab my agenda here. And so the meeting was called to order at 7:16 p.m. And we would normally have a word of encouragement from our Bishop Gonzalez, but I don't see her on board. So we will for those of us who have the minutes, I'll put a motion on the floor to accept the minutes of October 6th, 2022. And the agenda for today, which is November 3rd.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And then we can now go ahead and do some introductions. I'm Debbie Timothy, and I'm the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee at CB9. Teresa, I guess you can go ahead and.
Oh, introduction? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm Teresa Westerdahl. I live on Sullivan Place. I was on EP last year, and now I wasn't a member of the community board, and I was appointed by Antonio Reynoso, and this is my first time serving on the community board and my second session in EP, and I like it.
And she's also the vice chair.
Oh, yes, I'm the vice chair as well. So
Yeah.
if Debbie doesn't show up, you'll see me probably.
Right.
So, yeah.
And Christine, you can go ahead.
Hi, Christina Zoli. I'm a resident community member. I live in Ebbets Field, and it's my first time with the committee.
And Jay Soren. Is he there? Hi.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hello, I'm a former member of the Community Board 9 Land Use Committee. And
Okay.
I am also a member of the Kingsbrook Jewish Shul in Crown Heights. And when you're up to the new business, I wanted to present something, or just a question on the new business when you're up to that. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. So Fiji, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Fiji. I'm a student journalist, and I'm just really interested in the work that you guys are doing, and I appreciate you allowing me to just listen in.
Okay, thank you. And CC, is that Christine? No.
No,
Who's
no,
CC?
it's
Is he?
Celeste Chase. So
Oh,
I'm
Celeste, so-
I'm a new community board member. And I am not part of this committee, but I'm just sitting in, as I do with other committees, just to understand more about what's going on within the board and the committees as well.
I'm sorry, you said Celeste. What's the last name?
Chase.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Did I miss anyone out? Anyone I don't see anyone else on here. So next on our agenda, we have roll call, and of course I've done so already because and I'm sure that Christine, you got the names of the people that's here? I can.
Yes,
share that
ma'am.
with- Okay, good. And also our guest and. Okay, so that's our roll call. So the next on the agenda is our monthly meeting will be scheduled on the first Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. Any changes to the schedule will be communicated to the committee members by CB9 staff. Also, I know that the holidays are coming up, so someone from the board, I think I called me from CB9 to ask if we wanted to cancel this meeting as well as the December meeting, I guess, but I told her that since our meeting, we meet the first week of the month, we should be fine. But I guess for the
Yeah.
other committees, they would have to move themselves up, before the general meeting, which would be moved up as well, given the dates of the upcoming holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the Jewish holidays. So I told them that I was fine with that, but I would present it to the board members, the committee members, to see whether they, were okay with that as well.
I'm good.
Oh.
It's the beginning of the month, so it doesn't affect any holidays. We're lucky.
Right.
Except
So,
maybe New
yeah.
Year.
Okay, yeah.
I'll be back
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, maybe New Year's. Well,
Oh,
I mean, school
okay.
starts up pretty quickly. Like, this is like a very short holiday break.
Yes. Before you know it, Thanksgiving will be here, and then, it's like, the whole year just flew by.
Yeah, the first Thursday is the 5th of January, I think. Yeah, 5th of January.
Uh-huh.
Fine. I have no problems with any of it.
Okay, good.
I think
All
for
right,
us,
so,
pretty easy.
so we do have, 2 committee officers added. Teresa did mention that she was the vice chair, and Christine is the secretary for this committee. So now we are going to have an open discussion on our short-term goals and our long-term goals. There is some information listed under those 2 agenda items. So I guess we can continue our dialogue on, those 2 items to find out how we want to move forward.
Did we,
Yeah,
did we read over the letter? Did anybody contact Dante to see if he'd heard back?
I did not contact him other than, asking for a copy of the letter to attach it to the agenda items for the committee members. So, I can always follow up to see if there's anything else that was, heard.
I think the key thing in that also was, and I may have just missed this at the last one, was that it was non-wire baskets. And that really would be a big difference in controlling, rodent issues and stuff like that. So the non-wire baskets are the things we really need to be pushing for. So yeah, I'd be
But-
interested to hear if we heard anything back.
Yeah, I can follow up tomorrow also.
I know Crystal, just for people that on the call who may not know, the Environmental Protection Committee last year prepared a letter to our council members, Crystal Hudson, Rita Joseph, and Darlene Mealy. And it was in regards to trash containers and commercial, residential. It was a letter we spent a long time on, like working on it as a committee. And it was brought before the board, I think 3 times.
The letter was, that was the letter that's I attached to the agenda items. Did you see it?
Yeah, but I don't think Jay or Celeste or Fiji would know what we're talking about. So
Okay,
just so they know, I don't know if there's a way to share it with them. I guess right to the community board, and maybe they can forward it to you. I don't know.
right.
But the community board eventually approved and signed this letter. Fred signed it, and it was sent to Eric, Crystal, Rita, Darlene, Antonio, Commissioner Jessica Tisch. I'm just reading from the bottom of the letter, and Superintendent Rice. So I don't know what the response we got from that, but
I'm sure that if they did receive a response, they would have probably sent us a copy. Along with this, I would think that would be the appropriate thing to do. So I can follow up tomorrow and see if anything came out of this. At least, someone should have responded. I don't know what,
well, everybody should read it over. I think that because of the letter and the discussion about it, that I know Crystal used her budget to buy a lot of cans for her neighborhood. So people got more cans. And then we got, like, I think Christian LeBeau was able to secure some funding to buy a few more. But I don't know if those were purchased or I don't know what the follow-up is with it.
Yeah, but I would think that a discussion needs to be had with Department of Sanitation so that they know what our needs are as well. I mean, that pretty much falls under, I mean, I'm sure that we can get resources from the council members as well. However, we should also be communicating with the Department of Sanitation in terms of getting, trash cans placed in these locations. I think it's important that Dante continue to dialogue at the district service meeting on this topic, or we can, follow up with another letter. I mean, I don't know, but in terms of the locations, we definitely would need a listing of the locations so we know exactly where these trash cans need to be placed. And also in terms of the size of the trash cans, because I know they have the large belly ones. I don't know if any of those were a part of the ones that I saw the smaller ones, where I, pretty much walked in the community. So I don't know if any of the large belly ones are, a part of the request. Because there are certain areas that, would more than likely require, larger cans than others. So it would be good to know exactly what the request was for and the size, dimensions of these trash cans.
Last year too, CB9 had an intern who
Mhm.
came in and she did a map of all the trash cans. She made a map and did some research. She was just a short-term intern. I don't know if you saw that map. I think she presented it at a CB9 meeting last year.
Was that a Beta NYC student?
I don't remember. It wasn't a summer student. It was a college student who
Okay,
who I can't remember where she was placed from.
so is she working on that?
She did it.
Project or-
She did it already and she moved on. It was like her project for the
Well,
year.
somebody should know who she is if that was last summer.
It wasn't in the summer. It was during the spring, winter, spring last year.
Oh, yeah.
Would that be in the minutes of the meeting?
Well, somebody should have
Yeah.
that,
I don't know if
recollection.
I don't know if she presented to us. I think she may have just presented to the larger community board.
Oh, you mean at the general board meeting?
Yes, yes.
I don't remember that, so.
If you can, if you can remember the month, I mean, we can, or around which month, we can look back at the minutes of those meetings and get her name.
Yeah, or the information, if that's what we are interested in, the board
So
should have a copy.
Dante should know.
So
Yeah.
should I make note that, Ms. Timothy, you're gonna follow through with Dante and see if he received, feedback from the letter?
Right, yes. And also in terms of the map, are we looking for that in terms of where those trash cans were gonna be placed? Is that the reason for?
So
For the
I sent,
map?
by the way, I sent the minutes of the meeting, almost the day after we had it, but they were only
Yeah.
sent out yesterday. I think it would have been helpful. I'm sorry, is it Khalid or Khalid? Khalid, would it be possible to get the minutes out before the day of the meeting? Because I think it's helpful to have them.
Okay,
If I
Sure.
can, all right, thanks.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
and that,
'cause
and
then
that,
we can look them over and follow up before the meeting, like give us couple days at least, a week.
But yeah, well, so we know what we talked about, and at least it's, everyone knows what we're talking about. So maybe some people are taking notes and maybe some people aren't, but then they have the list of what we discussed immediately and they know that's our goals for the next meeting.
Understood. And you're talking added to the website the day after.
No,
The
no,
community
send it
board.
to us.
I will send them as soon as I can, but if they
Okay.
can be sent or posted as soon as possible after that, because, you know, all the committees meet at different times. I understand that. But if we can have them for as long as we can for, you know, our particular committee or committees, that would be really helpful.
Yeah,
Understood.
post it
And-
on the website and email to us. That would help me actually, because I, you know, get the meeting notes, look at it. That, and then it's like a reminder.
Okay, understood. And that letter you're referring to is actually on our website if those that you wanted to look at it in the news section. The letter that was sent to Crystal, Councilmember Crystal Hudson,
Okay.
Rita Joseph, and Darlene. That's on the news section of the website. If anybody wants to take a look at it.
So the other question would be, in terms of the minutes for the meetings, are they loaded up all at the same time? Because I know some committees, you know, probably don't send their minutes in or don't do minutes at all. So I don't know what the protocol is in terms of, you know, getting it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
usually put on the website, but I could look into it with Dante tomorrow and follow up with you.
Yeah, so at least people know if, you know, when it's posted, and can look at it,
Okay.
beforehand. So that would be good. So in terms of, our short-term goals, we have on there, the planning a community walkthrough. And, placement of more rat boxes by developers at, construction sites to reduce, rodent problems. Also, to compile a list of pond and drainage issues in the community. And, the Ebbetsfield, non-recycling, inquiry. I actually, for that one, I actually spoke with, Beverly Newsome at the, executive committee meeting. And, she informed me that management did not want a recycling program. So
That's
that
good.
is why,
Yeah, they don't care, but can they be forced to care is the thing. Because as far as I know, it is against the law. Like I said, there are so many issues at Ebbets Field and it's not something that's on the forefront of tenants' minds. But it is
Yes.
something that is an issue. And as an environmental protection committee member, I think it's a very important issue.
so,
And yeah, Beverly is amazing. She's amazing. She's our tenants, our tenants association leader, and she is tremendous in the community. She's fantastic and amazing. I can't say enough good things about her. She has a lot on her plate, but I'll take this one off her plate and try to handle it for her.
so I guess what we can do is we can follow up with, DSNY to find out, you know, if there has been a discussion about, you know, the fact that Ebbetsfield does not recycle, as opposed to reaching out to management because she said that management does not want one. So I'm assuming that given the fact that New York has a recycling, you know, law, you know, why is it that they are allowed, you know, to not have a recycling program on such a big development? So you know, I'm not sure how you actually, you know, delve into this issue here, which I'm
So,
sure it's,
Maybe our guest can help us. I don't know, Fiji, have you contacted anyone at Department of Sanitation, or do you know how recycling programs go in buildings such as this, or can you weigh in at all or share?
So I I had a similar experience where I went to management at Ebbets Field and asked and tried to talk to them about it, and they would not comment. They were very, dismissive. I spoke with the gentleman, his name is Ezra. He handles all of the garbage at Ebbets Field, and he was, he was basically just saying like he does what he's told, and he lets the pickers go through and take out the bottles, but that's kind of the extent of the recycling going on over there. I'm trying to get in contact with somebody at sanitation, but I haven't been successful so far. I had a question, which is this something you've run into with other buildings in the past, for those of you who've been on the committee for a longer time?
No, it's never been brought up. Christine bringing it up last week was the first I'd heard about it. I don't really know the regulations for a big building like that. I'm looking on the 311 recycling rules. So it seems like there's rules, but is there any kind of a fine if you don't recycle? I mean, I don't know. I guess
there are
would
fines,
be-
but they tend to be really small. So it's like
You
they're
get
$400 fines, which is something a big building like Ebbets Field probably doesn't, like, that doesn't impact them too much.
I doubt that they're getting fined or anything, but I really don't know what the fines are or what, I guess that would have to be issued by sanitation. I know one time, this is just like from my experience, is somebody has put stuff in front of our house that wasn't ours, and one time we got fined, and it was $150, and we had to appear before a judge and go through a whole thing, even though we didn't put it there, right? So that's just like my experience in my building, here is, it was a lot of effort to get out of it. So, and it wasn't really about recycling. It's just like people dumping trash in front of your house, which we have had a lot of weird stuff happen with that. But anyway, I don't know about recycling. I've never heard of anybody being
So
fined.
maybe we can reach out to Brooklyn North 9, because that's where it would, whose jurisdiction it would fall under.
Under
Department
what?
of
I'm sorry?
Department of Sanitation, Brooklyn North 9. And
Okay.
their that number is 718-284-2467.
Whoa, too fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. 718-284-2467.
Mhm.
2467.
2, 4,
And
6,
the-
7.
On this letter, it's listed that the DSNY commissioner is Jessica Tisch, TISCH.
Well, that's a commissioner, but we want to reach out to the North, Brooklyn North.
Is that
That's where this
Superintendent
community
Rice?
fall under, yeah.
Superintendent Rice, BK09, DSNY.
Right.
Okay, so I guess,
So the letter has gone out to her already, or him.
well, that was just this letter, about the cans. It wasn't anything to do with recycling.
Okay.
But I'm just
So-
saying their names are on the letter, so that's who seems like the official people to contact for our
Yeah.
district.
Right.
I would like to volunteer to reach out for that. So the superintendent, I'm sorry, can you say the name again, please?
Rice, RICE.
Uh-huh.
I-
Okay, and that's the number, and the chair shared the number. Okay, great.
Yeah, so we just need to make sure that that person is still in that role.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure he's there still. I hear his name.
Okay, so but that number should, someone should respond, answer to that number.
Well, possibly also if we could add maybe a long-term goal of adding higher fines or damages for people who don't follow the rules, because I mean, it's there, and it's a lot of people think it's cheaper to just break the law and pay the fine than to do the right thing, and I don't think that's right. So if people see it's easier to do the wrong thing, they're gonna do the wrong thing in a lot of cases. So the fines for a lot of things are way too low and have not been updated in a long time.
I know Eric Adams is doing this new proposal to have putting out garbage in a shorter amount of time, you know, like putting it out at a later time.
Oh, at 8 PM. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I find the
That's
big
if
building,
the garbage, that's if it's not in a can, with a cover.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
So if it has a can with a cover, you can put it out, earlier at, I think, 4 PM or so.
that's the bags, right? Bags?
Right.
No, she said a can with a lid.
A can with a lid, but if
No,
it's.
no, I
if
mean,
it-
the
if
bags are
it's
the
done
new thing that they can't be put out until after 8.
Until, right, that's correct. Yeah. So,
So yeah, I mean, Fiji, I'd love to work with you again on this or speak with you later. I have your email and I'm glad you got in touch.
Thank you so
So-
much. I had another question, or maybe just amusing. I was, Ebbetsfield is subsidized housing, correct? It's
yes,
subsidized by the city, and I was
I
No,
wondering,
don't
it
think it is
isn't.
anymore.
Actually,
No.
I think it's either private or federal, one out of those two.
well, I
it's
think
it's privately owned.
it's
It
privately
used to be
owned, but subsidized.
Mitchellama housing, but it's not
Right.
anymore.
Oh,
Okay,
interesting. Okay, so there's no longer like some sort of relation between the owners and the city where they're getting tax breaks or something. Because I was thinking, if you're in that relationship with the city, shouldn't there be more of an incentive to follow like city rules, including those on recycling?
Unfortunately, with so many things, tax breaks aren't included in responsibility.
that's
So
right.
even if they
Yeah,
are
I
getting
figured.
tax breaks, it's not considered city money or city funding or state funding. It's just a tax break, and that doesn't
So basically, the
require
city
them
approving
to
the-
right.
themselves. Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, but yeah, it is a privately owned development now. It's rent stabilized, but
Legalized.
yeah.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it has a pretty interesting history, that building.
Okay, so where are we now? So in terms of a community walkthrough, guess we're gonna have to come up with some times.
Do we have the ability to just email the committee, Khaled?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was asking Khaled if we had the ability to just send out an email to all the members of the committee to maybe present a couple of possible dates.
Yeah, they
Yes,
should be able to send an email out to the committee members.
So what would work for the committee members that are here for a walkthrough?
Well, I know when we spoke at was it the last meeting or the first meeting? I mentioned Saturdays, I'm not sure what time, would make sense for, some people. I don't know what people's schedules are, and in terms of
I can-
religious reasons, that would be a factor too. So I guess we would have to figure out that.
Being sensitive to that, I would be available the third Saturday in November. If Saturdays are available for everyone else.
That's not Thanksgiving, right?
That is the weekend before. I don't know if that's too close to the holiday for anyone.
The weekend before,
That's November 19th, Saturday, November
Correct.
19th. That looks like it's okay for me.
let me just take a look here. Yeah, the 19 looks okay for me as well. You just have to come up with a time. And try to find out whether, so the 19th, and then I guess we would have to pick more than one date. The following week is no good because that would be what, Thanksgiving week? So,
And hopefully before it gets too cold. So if we're in December, I would
So I'm
suggest,
thinking that it seems as though,
Well, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, probably okay. Right?
well, a lot of people may be out of town, so
Well, the weekend after, not right after, but into first weekend of December then.
yeah,
What time can people meet? I love to
that
go
would be
to,
the 3rd of December, huh?
correct.
That would be the 3rd, so that Saturday would be the 3rd. So that, that would work for me as well.
I would be available as early as 10.
yeah, the earlier the better, because I like to go to Grand Army Plaza on Saturdays too.
I
Oh,
was
that's correct.
Yes, yes.
That's correct. That
So,
is correct. We can't
Yeah.
leave the farmers,
Yes, yes.
yeah, can't leave the farmers out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so should we try for 9 o'clock? So would we say the November 11th at November 19th at 9 or December the 3rd at 9?
yeah, I'm voting for the 19th.
So
if-
we're gonna send out an email with an ask to the community board members who can make those 2 dates, right?
Yeah,
would we meet?
well, it depends on where we are, heading, where we would like to take a look at.
Yeah, are we
Um,
trying to look at construction sites? Are we trying to look at the trash cans? Is that what we're trying to aim for maybe with this walkthrough? Like what the placement was, if we can get that information from the community board of where they were supposed to be placed? And maybe we could walk through and check that and check any other issues in a certain area.
Yeah,
we
that would be
meet-
good if we can get the information beforehand.
We could meet at that little place on, I think it's near that, kind of near where Debbie is. On, Nostrand, near the subway stop, there's like that place that has little pastry kind
You're
of,
talking about the pastry place.
yeah, and you could get
So
go
that's
coffee
right,
there.
right by the bus stop there.
Yeah, if we
across
could
from
meet
the
there,
bus
then we
stop.
could see that whole area that you talked about, and we could look around at, there's a park, we could walk down Empire, go over to Ebbets Field. What do you think about that? Like, just that general area, since we talked about it so much, we could walk by Associated, right? And look at that bus stop area that you talked about, and,
I love it.
look at all those construction sites and then go over to Ebbets Field and maybe look at that Franklin, Crown, that whole area, those sites. That's what we've been discussing a lot, right?
Yeah,
And then
and,
maybe
and,
do maybe
yeah.
do another neighborhood the next time.
Great.
Since we're all
Okay.
right here and this is,
Yeah. So that,
our environmental morning coffee clutch, what do you call it?
Great,
okay,
so
so,
roughly, we're gonna go from the Nostrand Avenue to 5, I'm sorry, the Nostrand Avenue station or the Sterling station?
Sterling.
Station?
Nostrand and Sterling Street, yeah,
Yeah, it's a Sterling
Yeah.
stop, but it's on Nostrand Avenue.
right,
And there's this little pastry, it's not really pastries, it's like they have these little,
Yep.
we give vegetarians ones. It's just a really nice little inexpensive breakfast that, if it's cold, somebody could wait in there for us.
Great.
It's a local business.
yes.
I think that's La Baguette.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it, that's it.
Yeah, La Baguette. Mhm. La Baguette.
Okay, so yeah, I'll definitely draft an email and send it over to the community board and see if they can send it out to the members for that walkthrough with the 2 possible dates.
But that's before our next meeting, so, you know, I'm afraid it'll just go by and we'll miss it. I don't know, I think we should just do it. And then.
I feel like anyone who's on the community board, or I feel like anyone who's on the community board should be checking their emails in between the meetings. So hopefully they get it, and if they don't, maybe we can decide to wait a certain amount of time. If we don't hear a response in the next 2 weeks, maybe we can be on an email chain and decide to go anyway.
Okay,
So maybe we can just start, like I said, start an email chain between the community board and have that contact between meetings.
yeah, and
outside
then
of-
we can also open it to any other community board members that want to walk as well.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah,
great. Yeah, so maybe send it out to the general community board.
yes,
Great, I love it.
so we can do that as well.
Well, we could do one walk together and then do a larger walk with everybody once we, you know, kind of figure things out too.
Well, I'm looking at it as this way. I mean, if it's another committee, maybe something that may be of interest to them. So, you know, just invite them to,
Yeah, okay.
you know, walk along. Could be sanitation, someone, you know, sanitation, transportation related issue. You know, as we walk, you know, people may see things that they probably, you know, had no idea about or whatever, so.
I'm putting it in
sorry.
my calendar. I put it in my calendar already.
You're excited. May I just say?
I'm excited. Yeah, I'll be there even if I go by myself.
On a personal note, this is one of my favorite meetings that I have.
Yeah,
So where are we at in the agenda? I'm sorry, I don't have it pulled up. I'm trying to.
okay,
use-
so on the short-term goal, so we just spoke about the walkthrough. So,
Perfect.
so we're going to be sending out email or information about that. Then we have on there the rat boxes to placement by developers. And there are guidelines for that. I think I included something as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, on there. They are responsible for putting those things in place. The developers, yeah.
I read that there was a motion that was supposed to be voted on in the end of October.
Yeah,
In that letter, it spoke about something in Brooklyn, like one had taken effect, I think in Manhattan, correct me if I'm wrong. But one was supposed to be voted on in Brooklyn also in the end of October. So we should definitely follow through on that. And pest training on construction sites.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but they should have, you know, they should be responsible for, you know, placing those boxes wherever they are, you know, doing, construction.
Does someone have that pulled up? Can they,
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
can you give me the name of the person that introduced the motion in Brooklyn? Please.
I'm not seeing that on here. Wait, the Daily News rat sightings up 71%. Where is it? It's a pretty long email. Tree planting depart.
Okay, I have to pull it up on another screen. Hold on.
DSNY leadership. Evansfield recycling, ponding.
It was,
This is very thorough, whoever created this document.
Which one are you speaking about? Which
I'm
one?
looking at, it says rats, and then it says home and community prevention, information for business, pest control management, rat information portal, home and community prevention, daily news article.
Yeah, I attach all those things to the agenda.
Yeah, community resource page.
Yeah. Yeah, I did some research and attached those things to the agenda.
so somewhere, I apologize, I'm pulling it up on a different screen. Somewhere in one of those documents, it said there was a motion introduced in Manhattan and it was approved. And then that there was supposed to be, that there was like a mirror motion introduced in Brooklyn. And I'm trying to come up with the person's name. I don't even remember on if it was what level of government.
Are you speaking about the Manhattan Borough President?
Oh, this one, is it Eric Botcher, a Manhattan Democrat, teamed up in May with Matt Levine?
Yes.
Introduced legislation.
And then after that, it says there was like a mirror resolution or motion in Brooklyn.
Okay,
So
I
it's-
found it. It's in the Daily News article. That bill is
Yeah,
expected
that's
to
it.
pass
Yeah,
in
that's the
late
Daily News
October,
article.
along with another bill introduced by Councilman Che Osei,
Yeah.
CHI-OSSE, a Brooklyn Democrat.
Right,
CHEOSSE, is that correct?
yeah,
Councilman Che, CHI, first name.
yes,
Osei,
OSSE.
Yeah,
Yeah, he ran for this council seat last year and he won.
Is that in our district or area? or
No, he's on the other side of
he's north. He's not
Yeah.
he's not in CB, he's not our council person, but he is very close by.
And
yeah,
it says the vote on that was supposed to be in October, correct? Or late October? Is that what it
Right.
says?
Yeah,
think that's
the bill is
correct.
expected to pass in late October. That's the bill from, along with another bill introduced by Councilman Chiosei, a Democrat, that would mandate annual reports on rat mitigation from the city's health department. So I don't know.
so
So,
we need to find out the number for that bill and see what the update is.
mhm.
Yeah, so I guess we can probably look at
And see if we can get that. I mean, if it covers Brooklyn, then we're good. If it covers certain areas, then try to have that mirrored in our districts.
right, so we can either call, look it up on the council site or
Council member, okay, got it.
or reach out to the council member himself.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question or two about the rat traps? And is it the developer who's responsible to put the rat traps down? And if so, how often do they have to replace them? If you guys know.
Well, I'm not sure about the time frame in terms of, replacement, but as long as there's development going on there, they should, make sure that, their boxes, especially if they, they see a lot of, rodent in the area, which normally what they do, they run through the community once there's development going on. So they need to, make sure that boxes are located in every nook and cranny around that development area while they're doing work there. Also at associated that area there that's being developed, I'm not sure whether they have anything there, but it would be good to check and see.
So, yeah, are they required though? Or is it suggested or is it,
They're required to do so.
okay, by whom?
One of these articles speak to that.
That'd be interesting to find out because that would help
Yeah.
with enforcement.
Yeah, one of the articles that I put on here speaks to that. So, if someone, folks can read up on it, it would be good. I want to believe that it's the one that says the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Yeah.
I'll revisit that and see if I can find out
Right.
who's for it.
Yeah, so. Guess we can find out exactly, what's going on with those boxes and. Because I mean, I've really never seen those boxes at any, I remember when they were doing the, installing the new, what do you call it, those in the streets, when they were adding and putting the new, pipes and thing in there. And I mean, they were all over the community. So. And, some of the residents, I mean, they were buying their own boxes and placing them, outside their homes, so.
I think if you see rats, you can call. And I think homeowners can be required to put them out too. As well as, if you see them.
Well, I know you can call the Department of Health and they would, send, someone out. But, I see in the subways, sometimes, you see the rats on the platforms, but you do see like, on the track, you may see like some of the boxes, but I guess with the garbage, at times, if it's not removed or people just throw things there, they're liable to be, running all over the platforms. And some of them are huge, so.
Oh, wait, okay. So I'm looking at JOC's website and I see June 16th for immediate release, Councilman member Osei introduces a bill to increase sanitation fines. So that's June 16th, 2022.
To increase fines for,
To increase, Councilman introduces bill to increase sanitation fines. Intro 544 would create a graduated fine scale to hold large-scale landlords accountable for dumping violation.
so that's intro 544.
That's what it says, intro 544.
Okay.
Buildings responsible, New York, buildings are responsible for properly containerizing their waste. System of sanitation fines for improper containerization does not take into account the size of the violator. At June 16th stated meeting of the Councilman chairs, they introduced a bill to adjust the fines to correspond with the size of the landlord or management company committed these violations. It's all about containerization in this bill.
Okay, so we can,
I'm looking at his news, and that's the only one I see involving garbage. This other one is for fentanyl use, overdose deaths.
I wrote down the number of the bill and I have their name and yeah, I look forward to getting on an email chain so we can divvy up who's going to talk to who. There's a lot to follow up on and I will send the minutes out again shortly after the meeting, probably in the next, probably Monday after the weekend.
okay, no problem.
So we can have all these notes and know exactly all the things we have to follow up on for the next meeting.
Okay. And then, in terms of the drainage problems, I know I listed a couple of, as I was walking around in the area, a few, like I say, I worked the poles on the armory, so, walking around, you get to see certain things and, you see where the, the ponding happens at almost just about all the crosswalks. And I was looking at the one at the corner of Sterling and Rogers there. And there is, when you look at the way the streets are paved, it's not done properly. And if there's no drain there, I mean, the water just sits in a puddle there. So I guess it has to do with the way DOT, paves the road and, not having a proper drain so that water can, go in that area. So there are things that,
Become a transportation issue as well.
yeah, it's pretty much, preventing the water from going anywhere. So
Well,
it
leaves are
remains-
blocking a lot of drains right now, and I noticed. when
Yeah, I pulled
sanitation
out some
came,
stuff, yeah.
They don't always, they like go down the middle of the street sometimes and they just leave the leaves. They really do.
Yes.
They really do that. I've witnessed it. They just
Yeah,
don't.
because what
They
I,
just
yeah,
drive right down the middle of the street and don't.
right,
They did that.
What
They definitely did that this week.
yeah. What I did today actually was on the block. I pulled out some, some leaves that was from the rain we had earlier, I mean, this week. The leaves were like literally, encrusted on on the side, side of the street there with the,
Great.
yeah. So I had to literally sweep and pull it up so that it's, to get it up and bag it up. So I noticed that, there are areas, where there's a lot of that happening. So even if it rains, and that's there, the water is not going anywhere. So that's a problem as well with people not cleaning up, picking up the leaves like they should.
Well, I
So
know
maybe-
last year people complained about it as well, but it was more of an issue because, they weren't enforcing outside. And now we've got
Yes.
outside again, but the sanitation isn't doing it actually.
And the
So-
other thing is when the sweeper is coming, because I know over in my area here, they come on Thursdays and Fridays. So it's alternate sides, you have to, but some people, they just don't move their vehicles.
Well, people definitely moved and they just went down the middle of the street.
Oh, well, that needs to be reported,
Like you
That's
could
a
see,
problem.
you could even see the like wet spot where they like kind of went to one side and then they just went down the middle.
Yeah. So I know we've been having, problems with people not moving their vehicles on my block, so.
They've been ticketing
Norm-
here.
Yeah. So normally what I do, I try to pull out the leaves from around, some of the wheels of the vehicle or, where people might just sweep it in the streets and not, pick it up.
So Teresa, you
So-
noticed that they've been ticketing sanitation? Has been ticketing?
They've been ticketing cars. At least on my street, they have. But
Okay,
we had a lot of problems with people just leaving cars here for long periods of time.
yes,
That's a bit better now, but it took a lot of neighbors calling regularly here.
Okay,
There's
so
still
I
some
guess-
people that don't move, but it's a lot better than it was, which was like from nothing to probably, I'd say 85% maybe were moving, but
right. Yeah, so I guess we need to, continue to build on our list of, outstanding issues and things like, ponding and, the whole leaf thing, because if the drain is clogged up, that water is going nowhere. So we need to follow up on some of those things so that we don't have, problems when, we get heavy rains. Because then that stuff goes right into the drains.
yeah, it's been a big problem in the, when we
Yeah.
had those heavy rains last year, that was
Right,
really flooded. So
yeah,
some people got flooding in their garages and basements. But I think in different, depending on, lower level homes, and what other buildings are around you. Sometimes when there's
Yeah.
development near your property, that creates more of a tendency for that, it seems.
Right, and also I think a lot of people had, and residents had like backup in their, their homes. So they didn't realize until, all that water came and, there was no way for the water to go. So some of them had to have, work done to clear up all those things. So it's good for people to check into these things and have, someone come out and check their drains and these things to make sure that everything is clear.
That project on Empire in like Washington area, that's supposed to be done by December 23rd. It was pushed back, it was supposed to be done in November, but that's a pretty big project. I mean, they're installing like larger drainage pipes. as
Right, that's the
part
same
of-
thing they were
part of
doing
that.
on Nostrand, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that may alleviate some of this, at least. I don't know, hopefully.
No, I guess we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully it would be helpful to, in the event that we should get any more heavy rains like we did. Although no one could control the level of water that we received that particular day.
Well, that's part of like the future, right? Like we're environmental
Yes.
protection and the environment is changing. So we have to be prepared and have our district and our community members and organizations working together to combat that, right? That's part of it.
Yes. Yes, and this is a whole reason behind, building our list of, items that needs to be, addressed or looked into at least so that, we don't have that major, water problem again with all these drains that are not operable. And I mean, sometimes you can pass by and you get like a stench out of some of these areas, so you know that it needs some type of, cleaning out or something. So, like I
Yeah,
said,
that's sewer gas smell, right?
yes,
I know that happens over here too.
yeah. So,
Okay.
then I guess, in terms of short-term, those were, our short-term goals. So now we can move on to the long-term goals that we spoke about. So one of them was to develop a community resource page with helpful links for CB9 website. I think somebody mentioned, CB2 in Manhattan had some information like that on their website. So, we wanted to do something, similar to CB9 website. So I'm not sure where we are in terms of what we would, like to put on that on the website. So it would be good to get an idea as to what sort of things that we are looking at to place there. I didn't get a chance to look at CB2 information, so I may, get around to it sometime this week and see what's on there. And I guess if anyone else,
All right, I'm looking at it now because I've looked at it earlier. It's actually Community Board 4.
oh, it's 4, okay.
Okay, and it's like there's goals and accomplishment, ongoing projects, and useful links on their page. How can I send this? Let me see if I could send it to you guys right now in the mail. Okay, so Debbie. See if I can.
I'm just gonna note, being respectful of everyone's time, that it's 8:16.
Yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
hopefully, yeah, we should be in a
All
few.
right, I'm gonna send it to you and Christine, and then you guys can look at that, okay?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna send you the link to that word page, and I'll send it to CB9 too, so then they have it.
the page
Right,
that you're
and then-
sending is related to what?
It's just a link to the page for the
Oh,
community.
on
community-
CB4?
Yeah, CB4 in Manhattan, like their page that their Environmental Protection Committee has
Okay,
that
no
I think,
problem.
that I think is pretty nice, pretty good.
Okay,
you
no
know, 'cause
problem. Yeah,
I look at that and I feel like, oh, this is cool. And they have like useful links at the bottom. Department of
yeah,
Million Tree Project, just like what they're working on.
right. Well,
Your
okay, so that
goals.
will be, yeah, so. that
I
will
think
be
it's
good.
helpful. You just, you see like all their members and maybe I'll go to a meeting for them. What's the function? You'll see it. It's pretty simple, but it's straightforward and it's just helpful.
Okay,
Like something like that, ongoing projects.
okay, that will be fine, yeah. So,
I said you could forward it to the other members. I don't have all their emails, so.
okay. So that was item 1 under long-term goals. So we can take a look at that and see, how we want to move forward on that. So item 2 had to do with, Rat Academy, tree pit information, and the Environmental Protection Committee, community-related events. And I believe that I included Rat Academy information also in this, on one of these documents attached to the agenda. No, they sent
Curious
me,
how they arrived. I'm sorry. I'm curious how they arrived at the location of the community board cleanup that just happened. It was community board, right? Cleanup?
No, it was,
Yeah.
it was a group called
Eh.
Crown Heights. They just do these cleanups around Crown Heights and they're doing different streets all the time and Dante got in touch with them and
Awesome.
they just happened to schedule this one right in our neighborhood.
yes,
They contacted him and then he posted it to the board and I saw it and was like, that's so close to my
Mhm.
house. 6:30
Yeah.
at night. What are they gonna do? But it was actually pretty fun.
yeah,
you
we
know-
need to get their name, their name.
Right.
Do you know, Khalid went too.
Clean Up Crown Heights is their name. They have an Instagram
Right,
page. I
yes,
don't know if they
clean up
have a,
Crown Heights.
Yeah, they have an Instagram and it was a nice group of younger people, quite a few people, and they have like pickers and they gave us gloves and they had recyclable bags. So we filled up these bags and I liked it, I mean, it was, and then they went out for drinks afterwards. I didn't go because I had to go home, but maybe next time.
Yeah, I mean, if these groups form their own organization, it can only benefit us to connect with them. So, yeah, I have a note about Clean Up Crown Heights in the meetings. That's
And
the
they
name
have
of
a map of all the areas that they've done. So they're going all over Crown Heights and they hadn't done much in our end, because we're the very furthest south.
Sure, yeah. Mhm.
So they've been working more north, but they've done quite a lot. And there's another area that they're gonna go to that's more, I would say, east of here, east and a little bit south of Empire. So,
Yeah, they said that the only area that they haven't been as yet would be over Utica side, on that side, those areas over there. And they were planning to do that at some point. So,
we could do that one time too for
yeah,
good times.
yep. I agree with that. There's always a lot of cleanup to do. Okay, so now so in terms of the Rat Academy, I mean, they're always sending information about, meetings that they have and informational meetings. So I guess people can just, attend if they have. I know they sent me something recently about a meeting that they have coming up. So, it's helpful if anyone wants to attend
Ye-
one of their meetings. And I think that we asked Dante to follow up on the the tree planting issue that someone brought up.
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of complaints about that.
Yeah, although the mayor has a million tree project going on, so I know in the area here, as I was walking around, I saw some areas where they're probably going to be planting trees.
There's
Um,
a lot of tree pits.
yeah.
that are out. And
So,
some people are upset about it and some people love it.
yeah, so something that we need to follow up with on Dante to find out what happened at the whether he was able to
Oh, yeah, he was gonna
get in
talk at his district
at the
man.
district service cabinet, yeah.
Yeah,
So we can follow up and see if that would be another thing to follow up on.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Follow up
No, I
on-
said follow up with Dante to find out whether he was able to bring up the tree planting. I think someone complained about, tree planting in
At the-
in their community, and they didn't, they were opposed to it.
at
But
the,
I know that, there's a million tree project going on, so there's a lot of trees that's gonna be planted. And it's not whether you want it or not. There are areas that they designate, for these trees. So I'm not sure in terms of not wanting the tree there, if that is something that can happen. But I know that, I asked Dante to follow up to see, what he can find out about, the
Or-
fact
or
that,
maybe
yeah.
it was at the housing, I went to a meeting and there were like several different groups complaining. One of them was actually Beverly Newsom about,
But
they
you
felt
were, no, I think you were at the executive committee meeting when,
oh, was that
was
one?
it, was it that meeting? I think so.
It could have
Yeah,
been.
because I think, yeah.
There were
it's either
several
the meeting
different
or the
groups.
general board meeting, one of those.
There was
yeah.
several different groups that were opposed to having the trees, like being, like, they felt like it was that the tree pits created like a unsafe environment in some areas because people hung out at them or people peed on them, or, they made it so it was dark and people were felt unsafe and couldn't see. They had good reasons. I mean, somebody on my block definitely doesn't want when they have signs and tape, like, don't put a tree here, please. Don't tear up my plants. So I know some people don't want them, but I don't know. I don't think people have a choice.
I know the older trees, what happens is after a while, it grows into your
Pipes, yeah.
drains and stuff like that. So, I think that was one of the problems that people were having, because I know, I've heard people mention that, they had to get, the whole their basement, the tree, like the roots, the trunk, all those, it went into their pipes and all these things. So they had to have all that cleaned out and removed. So
But it
things like
is-
that can
yeah.
happen. I know the older trees, but in terms of the whole million tree thing, that's another issue right there. So I guess it's something that we have to find out more information about and find out, what if someone doesn't want a tree there, if that is something that can happen, or if it's something that, you just can't do anything about.
Right, so I noted that, like, what are the rights to objections to the tree pits?
Yeah.
I don't know if this would be in order, but I would like to motion to table the rest of the long-term goals to move on to the rest of the agenda.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, we can actually follow up on that at our next meeting, if that's okay with everybody else.
Yeah,
If that motion is in order.
Yeah,
we also don't know, do we have quorum even?
I don't believe we have quorum.
We don't have quorum, but I guess, you know, and I think Jay wanted to do something. Jay
Yeah, let's
wanted to talk about, you know,
Right.
so maybe we can just go on to new business. And,
Okay, okay with me.
That's fine with me.
yeah, so maybe we can just let Jay, you know, go ahead and
Okay,
say what
great,
he has to say.
great. Thank you, Ms. Timothy, for giving me the opportunity to speak on new business, something that I think is very important. There's an issue in the community that this committee, if they choose, could get involved with. The issue that I personally have a problem with, and I think that affects a lot of people, is that there's going to be a massive amount of new construction on Clarkson Avenue. It's this Vital Brooklyn project, and the community, in terms of the specifics of it, of really what's going on, really hasn't been informed. And from what I've seen, it's a pattern of New York State skillfully being able to control people, make things happen, not inform the community, and then give them the information at the very last minute. So there's 3 major construction projects which are going to have a big effect. Just to roll things out, there's like 900 units going up on 681 Clarkson, which is going to happen. That is, for frame of reference, it's by the corner of Clarkson Avenue and Albany. And they're going to
And you, where are you getting your information from?
Sure. Everything I get is from Vital Brooklyn. I've previously submitted it to the to the housing committee. I've never come to you, Ms. Timothy, on it. It's the first time I'm coming here, but everything is, this is Vital Brooklyn. This is, there's 3, it's on the website of Empire State Development. So there's tremendous, this is the biggest thing that's probably ever happened in like Crown Heights. And the way that they're doing this, on what's going to happen and everything, is they're doing it where the community boards are not going to really have any power. It doesn't have to go through ULURP because the state chose to do it in a certain way. So just to tell you what's coming is 900 units plus selling land for like rebuilding 2 homeless shelters that could have up to 400 units. The homeless shelters exist now, but they want to rebuild it and they want to sell the land on it. So there's 322 units which are going up on Clarkson Estates, which is on Clarkson Avenue also. Half of that is for the formerly homeless. The one that I mentioned on 681 Clarkson Avenue, 35% of those units are supportive housing units, which is
So
mostly.
have you, another question for you. Did you bring that up to the ULURP committee or did you bring that
Sure.
information?
Oh,
to the community board?
Oh, they know me very well. They know me very well at the ULURP.
So did you bring the information to the community board?
Yes, sure. Of course.
And did you make a request to do a presentation on that information based
I-
on the information that you have?
I did not request to make a presentation on it. I would love to go over it, and to inform people on it. The housing community knows about it. ULURP knows about it. But my point in coming here is to say that the Environmental Protection Committee can be a very powerful force because of the SECRA laws. And the reason that I say this is, if there's so many things that are going to affect the community, specifically, if there's a limited amount of parking and they put up 900 units and there's a minimum amount of parking on 681 Clarkson, and they're going to go right across from Albany and Clarkson, they're going to go right across to Utica. They're going to do this maybe 3 or 4 times in the next 10 years because it's like this certain zone where the state owns the land. So what I ask when I come here is not only to inform that there's major projects going on, but I ask that this committee consider if they want to get involved with fighting for the community, because the SECRA comes up under the jurisdiction of environmental. And my request is that if this committee was interested in looking at the projects and saying, what is the impact, the environmental impact on this, as far as the secret goes, this committee as a governmental unit could then bring it to the community board. And then because it's a secret issue. And then once it's at the community board can go to the public advocate and say, this is an issue, fight for us, because they're building all these units, there's no parking, and the existing residents aren't going to have a place to park. And a lot of people in the southeast part of Crown Heights use cars. And to me, it's a no-brainer. If there's a tremendous amount of units that go, and if there's no off-street parking, you're going to have displacement of people, because in the homes there, many times you have like parents, grandparents, grandchildren. People have cars. You take away their cars, they may have to move. So what I ask, and this is, like, I realize a big ask, is if the committee is willing to get involved with the Vital Brooklyn projects to see how it affects and could hurt the community in terms of displacement, oversaturation of social services, where Clarkson Avenue has a massive amount of homeless dumping. It's got maybe 6 or 7 facilities that are just for the formerly homeless. The community board can tell the public advocate, start working for us, and have bring out your lawyers. The public advocate has a bunch of lawyers, and start taking on environmental protection issues. MTOP, which is a group has fights tremendously on environmental issues. The MTOP has figured it out, to their credit, and Alicia Boyd, they go into the courts and they fight on these secret issues, and they do an incredible job fighting against developers. So what I ask is that if this committee wants to open up their jurisdiction and say, listen, there's a tremendous amount of construction that goes on, homeless dumping, it affects real people who don't have time to go to, different political meetings and stuff like that. And there's going to be traffic issues, there's going to be, oversaturation issues. And all of this comes under SECRA on community impact, the volume of what's there. There's environmental issues. So it's a real big ask to see if you guys want to do it. But in my humble opinion, it is this committee's jurisdiction to take care of the community. And on the environmental issues, it's a secret thing. And if it's not just something that's a fantasy, there's community groups like MTOP that are fighting developers on these environmental issues. And the shame is they do it all themselves. They get no help from the public advocate's office. This has been going on for years.
Okay, so, do you have written information on this, information about this?
Sure, there's all of this
So,
stuff.
we can, I don't have anything.
Right.
As a committee, we don't have anything to
understand.
go on.
I know.
We're just hearing what you're saying now, so it would be good to have written information so that we can bring it to the board and see which way we want to go on it.
Now, the
But
board had.
in
the board-
terms
the
of
board-
moving forward on anything, we would have to have a discussion with, the board. And, because the board
Sure.
is made up
the-
of
the
50
board-
members. and-
Just to tell you, in terms of, this is the first time I'm actually talking to you, Ms. Timothy. This is the first time I
Right.
present this information to you.
Mhm.
And in the past, nobody has really went to the environmental committee, I think, and said, hey, start fighting this. So, this is, coming out of, it's not your responsibility, but I will tell you that this community board knows about the issue. I submitted the RFP. I've spoken about this several times on the land use and the housing. But I come here just for the idea that the environmental protection is a tremendous, powerful vehicle that can be used and has been used. And the shame of it is what's going on is that New York State is developing all the land, but they're shutting out the community from this. And if you remember, you probably remember the Armory, the Brooklyn Armory, and New York State
Yes.
they gave it to New York City, and then the community board had a say in it because it was New York City. So somebody got smart and said, Community Board 9 gave us a problem and all these different voices. So what happens is, instead of going from the state, the land, to New York City Economic Development, which is what happened with the Armory, where ULIP was involved, the state said, we're going to do this other action and we're going to do this general plan. So now the community board supposedly doesn't have any ULURP rights. Okay, so there's still a secret that's involved. There's still a state environmental quality, review act that's involved. So the community can get involved in it. And just to tell you I know it's a lot of different things that I'm saying, and this is different issues, but just to I'll leave it down to one sentence so people could hear how ridiculous of what's going on. The last Canvas project, the Clarkson Estates, they came to this community board in May, and they gave a presentation. They gave a presentation in May. When they gave a presentation in May to it was to the ULURP committee. Okay, I just watched this a few days ago because I didn't attend the meeting. But when I watched it, they gave the presentation in May. When they gave it, the environmental statement was already out. They already gave it, the environmental statement was already out by New York State Homes and Community Renewal, said how this community was going to be affected. There should have been input from this community that said, okay, this is what we think of it. So they waited until the last moment in May. The general plan was in June. So they come here in May to the ULURP committee, and if you look at the timing, if the committee wants to come back 30 days later and make an issue with it, it's already June. You can't do anything because June 28th is when the next board meeting was, and the general plan was July 19th. So to summarize, they wait until the last moment. They don't give people information. They keep the community in the dark. And this community board, quite honestly, nothing on you, Ms. Timothy, but the community board has to be more aggressive in terms of protecting the people of what's going on. And you have 4 ladies of MTOP who fight like mad and do great things, but this community board is not fighting for people, and they have the information.
Okay, again, Mr. Sorid, I have no information to go on except
problem.
we as a committee have no information to go on except for what you're saying now. If you do have information on this, written information in black and white, I mean, I can present it to the board, or if you would like to come and do a presentation. I know you said that you provided information to the ULURP committee as well as the housing committee, and I'm not sure why the board doesn't know anything about this, or it hasn't come forward.
I sent it to the board in September. They have
Okay, I don't have any information on it, and
Nothing-
none of the committee
nothing on
members
this.
has information.
nothing on you, Ms. Timothy. I'm just telling you.
So if you would like us to bring it forward as a committee, I would like to have some type of written documentation
Sure.
about this project, and, we can,
Sure, if I
bring
could-
it forward.
I'd be more than happy. Yeah.
If I may just, as a clarification, as I'm the secretary of the committee, the SECRA laws, can you, that's obviously an acronym. Can you spell
Sure.
that, please?
Yeah, so that's the State Environmental Quality, I think it's State Environmental Quality Review Act, something similar to that.
Yeah,
It's secret, it's New York State, if you Google it. And just to let you know, there's people in the community who actually are using these laws, which are environmental laws, to fight against, developers over on Franklin and Bedford. And
Of course, and obviously development ties into affecting the community with overpopulation of schools and taxing the sewer system. And I see how some of that ties into the Environmental Protection Committee, of course. And I'd be happy to look into it.
so if you want, Ms. Timothy, you could email me at, my name is Jay Sword, which is in there at AOL.com. Or
what
if
you can do is send the information to the board, and, I will
Yeah.
retrieve it from there.
They have it.
Can
Yeah.
you
They
also
have it,
just,
who did you
They have
send
it.
it to?
Yeah,
can you
pardon me?
also state your organizations just for the record? You said a couple and I didn't have.
Sure,
a
sure.
chance to write
So
them down.
basically, I'm not representing any organization.
Okay.
I am a member of as far as standing issues go, I'm a member of the Kingsbrook Jewish Shul. I have a lot of friends in Southeast Crown Heights. So the geographic area is something that I have an interest in, the Southeast Crown Heights. I also have been in touch with block associations in East Flatbush, like the East 38th Street and East 39th Street Block Association, which I provided them data with. And they're all very against, what's going on. There was a homeless shelter that came up from breaking ground. They were very much upset that no one told them about it. It was 110 units that I believe that came in like 3 years ago. They had no notification. And, they were upset at that. And the person who won the corporation that won the 900 unit development is actually breaking ground. They're the homeless shelter corporation that basically is going to develop it. So, it's just, my point is, this is just my opinion, but I would like more people to be informed and to be active, because there's questions on, okay, what's the environment? What's your response to the environmentals? And 5 years ago, the city asked people and said, okay, what do you think of, here's an environmental statement. Do you have an issue with what's going on? How tall it is, the bulk and everything. And people on SECRA, like the meetings, no one shows up. The first project that's happening where they're putting 17-story, like a 12-story building, 12-story building, 125 feet tall by Kingsbrook Jewish. That's the first development that they're putting there. No one went to the meeting. There was no input that was given. It was a whole general plan, no input from the community. The Clarkson Estates, I looked at the record, no one showed up, not even one comment. There was one person who called on the phone, and then the person hung up. I think it was a wrong number. But I just ask that, if the environmental wants to expand the jurisdiction, and I understand it's a tremendous expansion of what goes on,
So you're just looking for support and advocacy.
No, I want this. I want the community board, and I think it's the duty of the environmental, of this committee and the community board, to say whether or not they're in favor of these projects that are happening within the district. There's, issues of displacement. There's saturation of social services, residential character issues. The community board should say either I like it, it's good, I don't like it, but to just ignore and not be part of it, in my humble opinion, is not the way to go.
So you
So
had
you
said
said-
before
you said
also
you-
that there was a state survey done, that there was no input taken from the community and we had no input on, correct? I mean, I wasn't on the committee or the board at that time.
Just to tell you, there was a general plan meeting in which anybody can give their comments about how they feel, if they have any objections to it, any environmental objections to it. At this meeting, for one of the three projects at the one which is called Utica Estates. At Utica Estates, there's like 320 units. That's one of the three major projects that's happening from Vital Brooklyn. No one went to the meeting. There were no comments at the meeting. Okay. At
Okay,
least-
it seems as
Yeah,
though
just
you
one.
need to do a presentation, Mr. Sorid, on this, because it's a lot of information. And I don't know that this is the place that this needs to be addressed. I am asking you you said you sent information to the board. So what was the outcome with that information?
Basically,
No movement.
I went to the ULO committee on this 6 months ago. There's not any activity, and one of the problems is just that, a lot of people, no one wants to fight the state. A lot of people. for whatever
Okay,
reason,
so what I'm
that's the
saying to
problem.
you is.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is, if you would like to do a presentation on this topic, if you would send me the information, I can bring it forward and,
Sure.
have the members on the board
Yeah.
determine whether
Yeah,
they would
sure.
like to, for you to present on this topic. What is their position, if there is a position on it? But in terms of, presenting here, we were not prepared for all of this information.
No, absolutely.
So-
I have never spoke to you, Ms. Timothy, and people have not brought this up to the environmental committee. So, in terms of
But
bringing
it
it up.
went to the board,
agree.
so if it went to the board, the information should have been,
Oh,
you
now,
know,
now I will tell you, I'm in touch with the housing committee and the ULO.
yes.
I'll tell you, Beverly has been very, very helpful. Has
Mm-hmm.
been extremely helpful and is a pleasure to work with. I went to ULURP, and ULURP is they hear me, but there's there's a lot of intricacies with it, but in my opinion, I'm not gonna take any more time because I know people are waiting. But there's three like armies that could be part of this. It's the environmental protection, who could tell the public defender they want him to come out and do lawsuits. There's the housing, and then there's also ULURP. So I just came here to tell you about it, to introduce it, and you know, to see if there's an interest in using the
And I
laws.
thank you for the information,
it.
but again, if
I
you
know.
would like to do a presentation on this
Okay.
topic, you know, maybe we can move that forward.
Great, thank you.
But in terms of, you know, the whole aspect
I
of what's going on, we have
Yeah.
no information to go on except for what we just heard.
Sure.
So if you can provide us with more information, you said the board have the information. It would be good to know when it was sent to the board and, you
Yeah.
know, what, you know,
Yeah.
whether there's anything that's gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
On the board's end, because I haven't heard anything about it until
Mm.
now, and I don't know if anyone else on this committee has, but I doubt it. So if you would like to move forward on this, if you can provide us with some information.
Sure.
So that we have a better sense as to what we're looking at. And because if you provided it, if you sent it to Beverly and also the board, as you said, I'm not sure why it hasn't moved anywhere.
Well,
So,
we just started it with Beverly, and we're discussing everything on it and what to do and everything on it. We've been preparing everything where we would need to take it to the board. So I'll just tell you, as far as like the housing, we've been discussing the issue and everything on it and what to do on it. We're not, you know, we weren't yet ready to go to the board with everything on it, but I did send the information to the board on it. And if anybody wants to find out about it, or if you want to find out about it, I'll just say 3 words. If you Google, and if somebody wants to write this down, if they're interested, if you Google Kingsborough West Vital Brooklyn, it's KINGSBORO West Vital Brooklyn, it'll come up. And that
so you're not interested in doing a presentation, is that
Oh,
what I'm hearing?
I'd be very interested in doing a presentation.
So did you request a presentation from
I haven't-
Beverly?
Well, I did know. I did not, because I wanted to introduce them to it and then to plan for it. And because it
Okay, so
should,
we are all a part of the same board, so I would think that if you're having a conversation with Beverly,
Yeah.
you should, you know, she should bring that up as well, to have you present
Right,
if it's
but-
something that.
right, right, but the situation is normally there would be like, the committee decides on something, there's a motion, and then they take it to the board. Eventually. what
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna-
if you're speaking to Beverly about it, that is a committee, the housing is a committee.
Yes,
ULURP
absolutely.
is a committee.
Yes.
So one of these committees should be able to say, okay, let us move this to the board or to the executive, you know, committee or whichever
Right.
way. And, you know, see where we want to take this. But I mean, taking it to all the committees on the board makes no sense. So
Uh,
if you're having a
the-
discussion with
there-
Beverly. and
If you
the
have an
ULURP
issue, would you bring it to everyone?
Right.
we
so-
would wait until, you know, something comes up out of that one before, you know, we
The-
would
the-
want to have,
Right, so the environmental aspect of it that this committee could do is separate and different than what the housing committee has. The Environmental Protection Committee should be looking at the secret aspect of it. And that's why independently, there's different sections that could be done.
okay, so if there is a CEQA, then maybe you want to send that information to us so we can look at that.
Okay,
But in terms
thank
of
you.
your discussion with Beverly and the ULURP committee, that information should have been brought to the board already. If you're saying you had a discussion with them, and I haven't heard anything.
I sent, the board has it. You could take it up with the board and you could ask them what they're doing with the information that I sent them in September.
Yeah.
Okay, so we
I-
have,
Teresa has her hand raised.
okay, go ahead, Teresa.
Yeah, Jay, I think I went to a housing meeting and I heard you talk about this before. One question I have is this, the land that you're talking about where the development is happening, that is state-owned land, correct?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
So, all right, I'll look into it.
I know. what
I'm
you're- I know
not
what
really
you're-
sure what
I know what you're
exactly
about. I know what you're
we
about. to
could
say.
do. You know, I'm
That's fine.
really not sure, but, you
Let
know,
me respond. Can I respond to that if I may?
sure.
In terms of what could be done, I agree 100%. It's state land. And initially, the thought is that ULURP and the community's hands are tied when you don't have ULURP when it's state land. On the 681 Clarkson, the SECRA, the environmental aspect of it, because it's a state law, the community board can get involved with it. Okay, the ULURP is city, that's the city law. The state aspect, the SECRA, which is it's state laws, this community board can say, okay, these are the state laws, we'll get involved with it because it's state laws. And the second aspect, if you want to just to reference how the community can get involved on 681 Clarkson, they have there's a special problem that's on 681 Clarkson, in which they have a title problem. And I'm not going to go into it anymore because
I'm gonna, you know, yeah, I think that, you know, we've heard enough, a lot
Yes.
of
Yes.
information on
I'll end
that.
here.
And
Okay.
it was not a part of our agenda, so I'd like to get back on track with our agenda. And I've extended an invitation to you to send us information.
Sure.
If you know, would like to do a presentation. Again, I don't know why, you know, the Housing Committee or the ULURP Committee haven't, you know, brought this up with you or with the board to do a presentation so that everybody's aware of what's going on and see which way we want to move this. But this again is something that we have to address as a whole board. So again,
Thanks
if
for
you
bringing that
wanna-
forward.
Thank you.
yeah,
Ms. Tim.
if you want to send the information to us, I mean, we can look at it.
Yeah, and just to follow up, I did not ask the Housing Committee or Beverly Newsom, and I've been sort of I've been into this issue. I did not ask for a motion to bring this to the board because we're at the beginning stages of this. And when there should be a motion to the board, it should be basically almost like a resolution saying that the board is against it or for it. And I was trying, and there's other aspects to it that involve ULURP. So I came here because there's a separate and distinct aspect, which is the environmental aspect of it. There's zoning aspects.
Okay, so even so, as we should be discussing this as a whole, if you're just talking to Beverly about, you know, whatever housing aspect you're speaking to her about, I'm not sure what, you know, you're doing
Sure.
with the ULURP committee. But in
I-
terms of the Environmental Protection Committee, I think that we all should be meeting to discuss this as a whole,
Yes,
and not bits and pieces, you know, here and there, because,
Sure.
you know, it doesn't make sense. So again, if you're having a discussion with Beverly, maybe she would eventually bring it to the board.
And it's not a discussion almost like with Beverly. It's where I attend a housing committee and I bring the issue up, just like I'm bringing it to you.
Okay.
And informing on it, but it's a big topic. And I've told this to ULURP, the ULURP committee and over there. And I begged them, could you get a copy of the deed? Can you get a copy of the deed? Because there's a certain thing in the deed. And nothing happened for 6-7 months. So I spent my own money and I got a copy from a title report of the deed showing where the issue is, which I sent to the community board. So community board knows about it, ULURP knows about it, okay? And it's a complicated issue, and I just invite you to get involved. And maybe if you want to come to the housing committee meeting, you know, we could, you know, I'd be happy to
Okay, so if Beverly, I mean, I'm not sure what you guys are discussing, but if Beverly feels as though, you know, she, you know, that she's willing to move this forward, whatever discussion you guys are having.
I think
then
Jay just
that's
feels like
something-
it's another avenue that he, I'm sorry to call you Jay.
No, please do. Please.
Say personally,
It's-
but
it's a-
I just
it's
feel like
personal basis. I'm not
it's another
apologizing.
avenue because the community board cannot move forward in different areas, but in the Environmental Protection Committee, they have different availability and different avenues to move on this because it is state-owned land.
And I'll add, if I can call you Christine, the community board can get involved because there is a way where ULURP can be involved in this because even though it's state land, because there's a title issue and there's an ownership issue, it's if you look at what's called the it's like the general, it's a certain act. It's a I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but if you look at the general plan, it's like this General Development Corporation Act. And if you look at the act, my point to ULURP, and I've been saying this for 6 months, is that the community board, even though it's state land, has an absolute right to do ULURP if the city council person allows her to, allows this committee to. So there's a zoning issue with ULURP also. There's a right of reverter. and there's an ownership right that goes back to the city, and that's how the city has its ownership right in it. That's why the deed was so important. So, you know, it's a
So when
400.
was your last discussion with the ULUB committee?
What you mean when they let me speak and don't cut me off? Let's see. The last
So
time
is
that,
it, has this been an ongoing thing?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I mean, again, I want to move back to my agenda of my
Okay.
meeting. And
Okay.
I will bring that up tomorrow. And whatever information the community board has on this topic, and I will present your name as well, if you don't mind. But in terms of, you know, this agenda for tonight's
I know,
meeting,
I know. Thank you
that
for
was
taking
not
the
a
time.
part of it, so,
I
you know,
appreciate
I'm
you letting
happy
me
to
talk
bring it
about
up
it.
tomorrow and see what the next steps are.
Ask
And
Fred.
I'd like
again,
to see that title. I'd like to see the title. I'd like to see what's going on. I've been very curious
Yes.
about that property for a long time. So I'd like to see that for sure.
Yes,
The community board has it.
okay,
sent
so
it.
we'll inquire tomorrow. And
Can
as
we
a
get
matter of
that,
fact, we
Khalid?
have we
Khalid?
have Khalid on here, so he can follow up on that for us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can we get the
So,
information?
I'll
that
follow
Jay's
up with you
talking about?
tomorrow.
I would love to see that
Yes.
title.
so if you can
It's a title or it's a deed?
at least bring it up with Dante and find out where that is, and then maybe if the chair knows about it, then maybe we can, you know, get more information that way. But in terms of, you know,
Yeah.
our meeting for tonight, that was not a part of our agenda. So we're gonna follow up tomorrow and see what happens, what's going on with this whole
Great, thank you very much.
is, you know, housing issue or
And,
development
and
issue. Yeah.
and environmental issue.
Yes, so yeah, we'll follow, Khalid will follow up tomorrow. And I will also inquire as to, you know, what the status is on that. And I'm surprised that Beverly didn't bring up anything if you're having a discussion with her.
Well,
Um,
I told Beverly I was emailing it to the community board. So the community board has it, they have the RFP, they have everything on it. And at the committee, it's not ready for there to be a motion in housing that says we're for it, we're against it, because there's a lot that's in it and we were waiting for the deed. So I got the deed only like 3 weeks ago because I did it on my own. So I don't put any blame on Beverly or anything like that, because even though we were talking about it, we
So
needed to
when
get
do
a
you-
copy of the deed. Yeah.
When do you plan to have a discussion with Beverly again?
Well, it's with the housing committee. I don't speak to Beverly privately, you know, I
But
go to
doesn't,
talk to
isn't she
her.
the chair of the committee?
Yeah, we don't talk on the phone. Like, we go to a committee, we just talk at the committee. So just to tell you.
Okay.
I-
All
I
right,
speak
so
to-
in any event, I will bring it, Khalid will follow up and then I will inquire further as to what is the status, because it's a lot of
Yeah,
information
you know, why
and
don't
this
you
is not the right place for that.
You
huh?
could ask Fred Baptiste. Fred's the captain of
Well,
the ship.
that's why, yeah, I did mention
Ask,
his
ask Fred
name here.
ask Fred what's going
Okay,
on, that stuff.
okay, I will do that. And so, you know, thank you for the information and,
Very
you
welcome.
know, hopefully we can find out more information about that, what's happening with that.
Great, thanks.
And is there any other information that anyone has? Because I know it's getting late and, you know, some people have to
Yeah, I'm
get up in the
getting pretty
morning to go to
tired.
work. So are there any other questions or concerns about our agenda items? No?
I'm getting too tired.
Okay, so I'm going to, you know, put a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting at this time.
Well, without a quorum, I think we can adjourn
Yeah,
without a motion.
okay, so the
Um,
time
Can
is
can I add
now,
can I add one thing?
yeah,
Just about attendance, you know, they've been emphasizing that, and we
well,
have,
well,
if-
there
I
was
don't
an
think
email
anybody
sent
who-
today.
if somebody isn't coming after 3 meetings, maybe
Yeah.
they should be removed from the committee so that we can have quorum.
No, I'm gonna send an email tomorrow of the people that were absent, and they seem to be the same people, so
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see what happens with
Yeah,
that.
they're not coming at all, so,
Yeah, there was an email sent today and, you know, inquiring about that. So I'm gonna respond tomorrow with that information. And
Yeah. because I'd like to have.
Christine will
quorum.
also have the the people that's absent on her minutes, so that we should be fine with that, so. But I will follow up tomorrow.
Yeah, the
'Cause
notes are
it
good.
makes
Thank
no
you.
sense. Even if they're, there's something going on personal in their life, they should inform the board. And Khalid said that he did not receive any calls or emails, so I'll follow up tomorrow and
All right, thank you,
see what's
Debbie.
going on.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you everyone for your input and time, and we will speak again soon.
All right, thank you, everyone.
good night.
Have a good night.
Again, I will send the minutes probably on Monday, and if we can get them out as soon as possible, so we have our items to address for the next meeting and
Yes.
possibly an email chain so we can see who's going to address them. There are a lot of things we need to follow up on, and I think
Yes.
divide and conquer is the way to do that. So
Okay.
I know there were a couple things I said I would follow up on, but just to have the list and have them claimed as addressed so we can really move on them for the next meeting, I think would be very helpful. And I think Khalid and the staff could be helpful in connecting us and the other members, hopefully that will rejoin us
Okay.
in moving on and moving on the issues. And I think we went through a lot this meeting, so.
Okay, great. So the time is now 9:03 PM. And we're going to adjourn the meeting for
Thank
tonight.
Thank you
everyone.
so much, everyone, for
Thank
coming.
you, everyone.
And Fiji, thank you so much, and I look forward to
Yes,
speaking.
thank
to
you, Fiji.
Thank you so much
Jay
for
and
having me,
Celeste,
and best of luck with
Okay.
everything.